Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining our webinar today on how to use donor data to supercharge your year-end campaigns. My name is Jen Newcomb Trinidad, and I'm with the marketing team here at CanadaHelps, and I'm so happy to be joined today by my colleagues Jacob O'Connor and Lord Dempsey from the CanadaHelps Charity Engagement Team. They'll show their lovely faces in just a couple of minutes while we go through some housekeeping slides here. So today's webinar will cover everything you need to know about how to extract your donor data from your account and use it to identify prime prospects for your year-end appeals, set up your online fundraising tools to collect the data that defines your campaign's return on investment, organize your data with naming conventions and models that actually find efficiencies and support your workflow, and also to help you know when it's time to give up on those spreadsheets and start asking if you need a donor management system. Very exciting topic and extremely valuable for this time of year. But before we jump into it, we just want to express and acknowledge that our team at CanadaHelps here is grateful to have the opportunity to work and meet on many Indigenous homelands across this land we share, Canada. As settlers on these lands, it is important to acknowledge that our Vancouver offices are located on the unceded territory of the Coast Salish peoples. The Montreal offices are located on Kanien'kehá:ka or Mohawk territory, and the land on which we operate in Toronto and broadcast from today is the traditional territory of the Wendat, the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. We want to express our respect for the territories we reside in and honor the diverse Indigenous peoples who have lived and worked on this land historically and presently. And we, the staff and leadership at CanadaHelps, are committed to being active participants in reconciliation. We're committed to continuing to amplify Indigenous voices and learning how our work affects Indigenous peoples. So we want to welcome those who are new to CanadaHelps. Sorry about that. We build online fundraising tools to empower and help charities become more self-sustainable. For charities, we offer open access to our full suite of affordable online giving tools with full donor information. And we also provide educational resources like this webinar, for instance, so charities can better understand their donors and steward them along their journey. And for donors, we have offered a convenient, safe, and trusted destination for donating to and fundraising for all registered Canadian charities for 20 years. And more than 2.5 million Canadians have donated over $1.5 billion through CanadaHelps. We just hit that milestone just a couple of days ago and really excited about it. And to date, over 23,000 charities across Canada rely on CanadaHelps fundraising tools to build capacity. So that's just a little bit about us. I'm going to hand it over to Jacob to get us started.
Hey guys, Laura, you going to join me here or what?
Sorry, pal. I didn't see you put your little camera on. There we go.
Hope everyone's having a really good day. I know I'm excited to be here with you guys, take a break out of a hectic day, and I know for all of you guys gearing up for year end, just like we are, it's a real busy time. Even more excited to be, actually I don't know about more excited, there's a few hundred people here, so happy to join you all, but equally excited or almost as excited to be joined by my wonderful team member, Laura. This is actually the first time we've done a webinar together, so we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun, everyone here today. Woo! Okay, so I know the last little bit, you know, I feel like I don't have enough Zoom in my life. I'm not on enough calls here, and I'm just so happy to have you guys here on another one of these webinars / Zoom calls here today. Just wanted to put out a little feeler for everyone. I think we're all on the same page here, but just wanted to know from everyone here, how are you feeling? How excited are you to be spending another hour on a Zoom or a webinar with us?
Am I allowed to vote here? I think I can. I want to vote on this poll.
So we're still collecting responses.
Oh, I can see them rolling in. Is everyone being honest here? I'm not sure.
Oh, we don't have the second answer. So you guys know the second answer says Zoom in person. Doesn't matter as long as I'm with CanadaHelps. We'll leave a little bit of time.
Oh, here we go. I can see some answers.
Answers are still coming in. Answers
They're
are still coming in.
I can see there's a couple of people being a bit more honest now as well.
We got 10 more seconds. Okay. And 3, 2, 1. Gonna close the poll. Okay, awesome. I'm going to share these results. Boom. Look at all those, 46%. Doesn't matter as long as I'm with CanadaHelps. You guys didn't see that part, so maybe you weren't expressing the excitement to be here with us. Thank you for all those that are being polite. I probably would have answered the same thing as well. Okay, cool. So moving on. So we're here today to talk about data. So here's just a little outline. First, I'll just stop and say, so I'm Jacob. If you haven't met me before, I work every day. I work in our charity engagement team here at CanadaHelps. Basically, we help charities across the country help use our tools to be successful online. Along with actually using the tools, we're actually kind of like a little mini consultancy. And so I encourage all of you guys to reach out to me, to Laura, to the rest of our team. And we'll give you the means to do so. But we're basically here to help you succeed. If you want to run a social media campaign, your first time on email, we're here to help you. It's part of our mission here at CanadaHelps. Laura, do you want to introduce yourself here? Talking a little
Yeah, for sure. So Jacob, with that excitement, as always, I always appreciate how excited you get about everything. So yeah, I'm Laura, as Jacob said, and I'm the Manager of Partnerships here at CanadaHelps. So I have worked very closely with Jacob for the past couple of years, but I've never been on a webinar with him, as he mentioned, which may be because CanadaHelps didn't want us to be on a webinar together. But let's see how it goes, Jacob.
So do you think, what do you think, Laura? Should we get down to business? So do you want to take us through what we're going to be doing today, and then maybe we can get a gauge on how everyone's feeling about data?
Sure, yeah, sounds good. So just to really quickly kind of run through what we're going to be looking at here, diving into, we'll start off by kind of taking a look at what data we're sort of talking about here, and also why it's important to collect it now, especially in the run-up towards the end of the year, but throughout the year as well. Jacob's then gonna take you through sort of setting up to make sure you are collecting the right data, and how you can kind of go about that. And then we'll dive into actually pulling that data and that information back out of your CanadaHelps account, and then round off with that all-important question of, is it time to head to a donor management system? And as Jen mentioned at the beginning, we'll obviously take questions at the end. I know some of you have submitted them in advance, so thanks so much for those, but there'll definitely be time for us to address them. So before we dive in, we have another fun poll, because you know who doesn't love a poll. So I think Jacob, you can fire that up there. So this is a bit more of a serious one. So how well do you think your organization is utilizing data at the moment? So a couple of options here. So very well, we are data wizards. Well, but we can always do better. Not very well, but we are here to improve. And not at all. What's data? So we'll give it a couple of seconds again, just so those answers can kind of roll in there. I can kind of see them rolling in. Hey, even if the answer is not at all, you're in the right place. So yeah. No shame here, no shame.
No shame.
So I can see those rolling in. I think it gives a good minute to to get those answers in there.
Yeah, we'll give 5 more seconds here so we can get the ball rolling. 3, 2, 1, and let's see. Let's take a look.
Dun, 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 dun. I like this. Looking to improve. We like
Humble.
People that
yeah, humility,
humble,
right?
Yeah.
So I know
Exactly.
there are wizards in here as well, so yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, people are very modest. There's definitely some wizards in here. Amazing. Thank you so much for kind of sharing that with us. So yeah, I guess we can kind of dive right in. So first off, we're going to sort of talk through what we actually mean when we say data. I feel like that's a word that's just kind of thrown around. You hear it every day. But what do we actually mean when we're looking at fundraising data? What can we actually look at here when it comes to donors and that information that can be collected? So a couple of different areas, I guess, that we can kind of dive into. I apologize. My screen seems to be jumping all over the place. I think it's something to do with the panel. Let me just move this down. There we go. So yeah, to start off with, one of the kind of most basic and most obvious things here is that sort of demographic data. So kind of who are these people? How old are these people? Where are they based? Maybe you want to look at gender of donors. Some of that more kind of basic understanding of those donors that are interacting with your organization. And that information you can definitely grab from CanadaHelps, but then some more of that complex data you can get through Google Analytics, which we'll dive into a little bit later. Then another kind of thing that you can always look at here is actually motivation. So why people are deciding to give. You really here want to be looking at, which programs are generating donations, which of your specific campaigns or appeals are generating donations. Maybe there's a certain program that you're seeing a real continued support to. You're seeing those dollars really roll in there. And which of those campaigns are your kind of donors really inspired to give to. Another thing that's really good to look at is how donors actually want to give to you. So do they want to be that continued kind of monthly donor? Maybe when they're giving in tribute. Maybe they actually want to give securities, so a gift of stocks or gift of mutual funds. So really looking around kind of why and how these people are giving. I guess sort of tied to that as well is really then those sort of behavior and habits that go alongside this. So when did your donors give? When did they last give to you? When did they first give to you? How often are these donors giving to you? And also how much do they give? Again, all things that we're going to show you kind of how you can extract this from your CanadaHelps account. And then the last one that we're going to throw in here, and I guess this is slightly more sophisticated, but as Jacob will show you, it's really easy to get to grips with, is more sort of those website analytics. So finding out how donors actually ended up on your website, maybe what they've sort of searched to end up on your site, and what device are they actually using to access your site. So as we know now, a lot of people are kind of using obviously mobiles to access websites. So looking, are they using a mobile? Are they on desktop? It's really going to help to then sort of guide you in terms of sort of targeting and your future plans when it comes to fundraising. And that leads me very nicely into what is the point of all this? Why would we bother to collect all of this huge range of data? What can we actually then do with that? So a whole kind of range of things that are really important. I think if you kind of don't look into this information and you don't find out these things, you really are sort of just kind of trying things randomly. How do you know what's working? So a first thing that you can do with all this data is obviously evaluate. So what is actually working? What's not working? Which of your campaigns are raising donations? Which of them aren't? Are there certain kind of causes or projects that you're finding your donors are really responding to? Or maybe there's something that, has kind of been with your organization for a long time and it's very anecdotally, oh, it's just something we do. But maybe when you take a look at the data, it's not actually raising kind of money there. So it can just give you a real guide of what's kind of working and what's not when it comes to fundraising. Another really cool thing obviously it can do is you can look back and you can see what did you actually raise? What have you achieved in the past year or past month? Allows you to kind of line up with those goals or maybe those expectations of your board. So allows you to kind of evaluate where you're up to with that. Another thing you can kind of do through this kind of data extraction is you can actually see sort of which communication channels you actually get engagement with. So as we're going to show you with some of our tools, you can really see, are people clicking through from a social media post maybe and giving to your organization? Are people clicking on an email that you sent out? It allows you to see sort of where it's best to kind of focus your time. And then, of course, most importantly, what's the return on investment? So what is really worth your time and also resources here? Financially, what are you putting money into and how many donations are kind of coming back from that? And as well, obviously, your time, which has a cost to it. What are you spending a lot of time on that maybe isn't actually returning much to you? So really allows you to kind of look back. And then obviously from there, you can sort of use this to plan and target moving forward. So rather than just kind of, randomly deciding, let's do this for our fundraising, let's do this for our end of year, you've got some real data there to work from. It will inform your future decisions and also allow you to set those goals. So you can look back on the past year. Okay, we were here, let's kind of stretch it and maybe go for, an extra 10,000 during this end of year campaign. So it allows you to set those goals. And also then target. So you can really reach these goals by then really targeting specific donors. So when you pull out all of that donor information, it'll allow you to really easily kind of break them up into different segments. So maybe you have, all of your donors that give monthly. Maybe you've got a group of donors that have interacted with your organization for the first time this year. Maybe you've got a group of donors that have given very specifically to a certain campaign that you ran. It allows you to see who those people are, Financially, it allows you to kind of obviously target those people that are giving the most, but also really personalize your stewardship here. So rather than just kind of sending out those communications very generally to everyone that's given to you, you can say, you know, we know this is the first time you've given to us. Thank you so much. Explaining a bit more about your organization, maybe converting them to kind of a long-term donor there. And then again, obviously, as you've got those kind of fundraising campaigns running and as you're sort of running towards the end of the year, you can continue to monitor. So this is something that you can continue to look at the data. Where are we up to? How much more do we need to do to hit our goal? Do we need to maybe change anything to make sure people are interacting in the right ways? So again, just allows you to kind of see where you're up to. And of course, at the end of any campaign, you can evaluate all over again. So again, see what worked, see what didn't work, see what you can kind of change next time, and really make sure that you're kind of heading in the right direction there. So a lot of kind of different things you can look into there. So how do you actually do this? Okay, so we know what we want to collect, we know why we need to collect it and why it's really important, but how do we actually go about doing this? And this is really what this webinar is kind of about today. So a couple of things that are really important here. Some of you may obviously be using CanadaHelps and the tools that we have. Maybe others are using kind of different donation platforms. But what you need to make sure here with any system that you're using is that it gives you the ability to create multiple donation forms. And for each of those donation forms, it gives you a way to really track the dollars that are coming in through each form. The reason being, this will help you to collect all of that data that we've just sort of run through there. So maybe many of you listening will have that kind of one general donation form that those dollars are coming in from. Having the ability to create kind of multiple donation forms really means that you can then track where the dollars are coming in from. So in addition to having that general form, you can then create very specific and very customized forms that can be included in different forms of communication. So maybe you're sending a direct mail and you're going to put sort of a link on there for if people want to kind of interact online. Maybe you're sending out a social media, so maybe a tweet or something on Instagram. Again, you can have a link there to a very specific form so you can see kind of which dollars are coming through the form there. Maybe you want to set up a gift guide, you want to see which gifts people are kind of interacting with. It will allow you to really see which forms are generating the most dollars and in turn see where those motivations are coming from, how donors are interacting with you, and full circle, then be able to kind of target them moving forward. So make sure whatever solution you're using, you have that ability to have multiple donation forms and attached to that also that it's customizable. So it's not just, 10 of the same form, it's actually 10 different forms, all that are branded and very specific to the different ways that you're reaching out to donors. And then the last little point here that's really important, make sure there's easy integration with Google Analytics or other analytics tools. So that will allow you to kind of dive in a little deeper and see a bit more of that kind of more in detailed demographic details and information, data, I guess. And Jacob is going to speak to that in a little bit and he'll give a bit of an introduction. So if Google Analytics scares you, do not worry. I was exactly the same before I started at CanadaHelps. Now I love it. Jacob is going to walk through and kind of show you that in a little bit more detail. So that's probably enough of my voice. So I'll pass back to the lovely Jacob.
Great
there
stuff.
You go. I wanted to make sure I taught you something as well, Jacob, No,
I learned a ton. I was taking notes. I don't know if you guys could see. But what I wanted to say, do you think we should show a couple examples of this for maybe some folks that aren't using different forms? We can show in a couple live examples.
Sounds like a great idea. And just like that,
yeah, I'm
right here for you.
So just to talk through this a little bit, okay? And so you have this great example that's this Legion National Foundation. This website actually went live just last week. But just to kind of talk through this a little bit more. So we're talking about data, and I think with data, again, Laura talked about being able to get the ROI on certain campaigns, know who gives to which campaigns so we can segment it and we can target in the future. We can decide which campaigns are worth repeating, which campaigns are worth investing in, and which maybe aren't, and which maybe we need to stop. And so to do that, and you do need the ability to track those campaigns separately and to have different donation forms or donation pages, however you want to call it, for each of those campaigns. So I think everyone here, at least, I would say bare minimum or most, have at least a general donation form on their website. So we have one donation form on our website that collects all of our online donations. And so I think this is the case working with charities day to day and visiting a ton of websites. I think typically this is the only form we have. And then so whether if we're doing a direct mail, if we're doing an email appeal, if we're doing a social media appeal, all these different campaigns that we're running, at the end of the day, we're driving donors to our general donation page. So they're all getting that same general donation experience. Maybe they're choosing a fund dropdown. So they go to the fund dropdown, they can choose, okay, I'm donating to this campaign or I'm donating to this campaign. So really, that makes it really difficult for you to measure on the back end where all these things are coming from. If it's all going through one donation form, how do I know which donor has come in from which campaign? By creating custom forms, you're able for each of those specific campaigns to link to the specific form for that campaign, and that's the only way they're going to get to that donation form. So then I'll know, okay, so let's say I sent out a direct mail. I sent it to a list of 2,000 people. In that piece of direct mail, instead of saying, okay, go to my general website and make a donation, and then those donations would come in with all of my regular donations that are happening, I would send them to a donation form that I've created specific for this direct mail. This isn't hosted for any of the general public to land on that page. You're only going to get to that page if you've received that piece of direct mail. So then you'll be able to go in the back end of your system, whatever you're using, and we'll show how to do this through CanadaHelps. But I'll be able to see, okay, I sent out 2,000 pieces of direct mail. I got 100 donations back for, on average, let's say a $200 average donation amount. I can see the total donation amount, and then I can look at the spend that I did to create that direct mail, the pieces, the creative, and then to actually send it out. And then I can say, okay, is this something worth continuing to do or investing in? So that's an example. Here we're looking at just like after having the general donation form, what's the next step? I would say ways to give page. So here we're looking at, this is a form that's branded for monthly donations. So they have a general donation form, but then they have a separate donation form for monthly donations. They also have one for securities that we don't have to look at. So this is another place where you can provide, it's not only the back end, it's the front end. So if someone chooses that they want to donate monthly, they have a tailored, customized experience just for them. They don't have to select monthly once again from your general form. It's already defaulted into monthly. Can we go to the next example, Laura?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so with this one, and so this is an example, this is a capital campaign, Providence University College. And so you'll see that this is a site that they've set up specific for this campaign. They've created a donation form that's specific for this campaign, Impact 2020. And so they direct donors for this campaign directly to this page. And then when donations come through, in the back end, it's all tracked. Let's take a look at the last one. So quickly on this last one, so this is another example, and this is something we did here at CanadaHelps actually just a few months back, and then just another way that you can use donation forms, and also why it's important to be able to create as many of them as you want and to do it quickly. So this is an example. F45 is a gym here in, they're actually a global gym, but they wanted to fundraise on behalf of our healthcare and hospital fund that we launched in the spring. We were able to create a custom branded form that's just for them. We took an image and a logo. We created a branded form. They put this on their Instagram, so they put the link on their Instagram account. And they could also embed this directly on their F45 company website. So this gives, again, it's that front-end experience that every F45 employee is getting this really nice-looking page that's branded for them. But then on the back end, I'm able to see, okay, we took this amount of time to create this page. We sent it over. We raised $25,872 through this form, and I can get that ROI. It's here on the fundraising progress bar, but also in the data in the back end. So here we're looking at, again, creating different pages, customizing them to get ROI, to see who's donating to these individual campaigns. I want to help make sure now for anyone that's listening, that's using CanadaHelps, that you're setting up your donation forms in the right way to get the data that you need. So if we could switch back to the slides. Yeah, so let's go through it. And so all of this stuff that we're about to go through, so the first thing is that all of this is within your charity account in the donation form section of your account. And we're going to leave this information behind with you. So anytime that you're setting something up, you're going to have this on hand and you'll know what's the best way to set up a donation form. So anytime you're setting a donation form, These are all fields that you're going to see, and I want to point you to the ones that are really, really important. I think when I'm talking to charities kind of day in, day out, this is the kind of stuff that it doesn't sound, maybe super sexy, but this is always where I see light bulbs and people are like, whoa, this is super helpful. So I would tune in, but again, know that you're going to get this after the fact. So the first one, there's two kind of key data points that you can get back on a specific donation form. Okay, so the first one is the name of the form, and the second one is the fund name. Okay, so just to go through these quickly. So the name of the donation form is not donor facing. So that in this previous examples, when we saw that F45 donation form, when you name this form F45, a donor will never see that. So that's specifically for your internal uses. So this is the field that you're going to want to use for your ROI purposes. And when you're able to track, all of these went through this, for an example, F45 donation form. A lot of organizations would actually use, you can code this field so it maybe matches a field in your donor management system or your accounting system. Again, because it's not donor facing, whatever works best for you, you can use for that field. You also have the fund field. Okay, so this is donor facing. So a donor will see this when they're picking a drop down on your donation form. It will also display on the tax receipt. So when a donor makes a donation to a specific fund, they will see that fund name on the tax receipt as well. But with the fund, this is really about where are the funds going? What is the destination of that donation? So again, using that previous example, the F45, if I'm creating that donation form, we want all of the funds to go to our general fund. So the fund that I'm going to select is the general fund, but I'm going to name the fund or the page as F45 so then I can see the results for that particular form. Next one here. Okay, cool. So a lot of people don't know about a few of these other fields that are available to you within your custom donation form. Okay, first one here, custom question. So you have the ability to add a custom question to any of your donation forms. This is an optional field. I'm getting a bit of feedback.
Sound good to me, Jacob?
Okay.
Is it kicking back in? Yeah?
Yeah, do you mind muting on your end, Laura, for a sec?
Yeah, for sure.
There you go. Perfect. Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is an optional field, so it's not required for someone to complete a transaction, but you can get some really valuable insights with this field. So the first one is it could be an organization or campaign specific question. So for instance, if I'm doing that Impact 2020, let's say if you donate to that campaign, you will get recognized. The question for this campaign can be, how would you want your name to be recognized on our donor wall, for instance? So that's a campaign-specific question. You might have other questions that you would require on an organizational level that's specific to you. You also have kind of the regular standard questions. So one of them, how did you hear about us? I think that's a really good one for people to ask, so you can learn, again, where do I want to invest my marketing spend? Another one, did you want to hear about our planned giving campaign, our planned giving program? So this is a really good way. You can get that consent. They do want to hear about it. You can send out your planned giving package and begin that relationship. But I think at the end of it, it's about what do you want to know about your donors. So if you're with your team all together and there's a piece of information that you would all really want to know, use this question to figure that out. Huge value here, and at the bottom you'll see in my nice little sun logo there that I added, this is a really big thing. So right now this is, if you guys have used this before, this is a text-based field. So I enter a text question, I get a text answer back. In November, in just a couple weeks, we're going to be releasing new custom question types. And I know there's a couple people on this call that have been waiting for this. So you'll be able to multiple choice single select, multi-select, or just a simple checkbox. So you'll be able to ask a lot more different types of questions and get better data back. So I'm looking forward to this, and I know a lot of people here are looking forward to this as well. Okay, now these are three really big ones too, really big ones. And again, not a lot of people know that these are there. And if you're seeing at the top when it says key additional points and in brackets other customizations, when you're editing your specific donation form, that's actually the section where these questions live. So on each of these slides, you'll know, okay, each of these things lives in other customizations. The first one is in general settings. So that's a little guide for you. Okay, so the first one, anonymity. So we had a question already that came up about emailing donors that come through CanadaHelps and contacting donors that come through CanadaHelps. All of you guys know, or probably know, that donations that come through your profile page on CanadaHelps, we always provide donors with the option to remain anonymous. That's part of our service on our portal. It's a big reason why donors choose to use us. When it comes to your donation forms, your peer-to-peer, your events, these are your fundraising tools, and you have the control. It's up to you whether you want to provide the donors the ability to remain anonymous or not. So if you toggle anonymity on, and you're seeing that this is exactly how it looks within the account, you will not receive any donor data for anyone that chooses that to select that. So you won't receive any. So it will come up in your account as anonymous. If you toggle this off, you will receive complete donor data. So the donor in that case will not have the ability to use the checkbox, remain anonymous. More data the better. Obviously that's an organizational choice, but at least I want everyone here to know that that's there. Next one is mailing list opt-in. And again, this one is super, super important. Not a lot of people know that it's there. If you are to get a donation through any of your CanadaHelps tools, your donation pages that we're talking about, that by Castle is implicit consent for 2 years. So it's implied consent, and you have the ability to contact these donors for 2 years from the date of their donation. Okay, for 2 years. If you get explicit consent, so if someone actually clicks in to opt into your mailing list, you have indefinite consent, and you're able to email, to contact these donors until they unsubscribe. So it's indefinite. So that's a really, really valuable thing. And even just from a management perspective, if you don't use that opt-in, you're going to have to track, okay, when was the last time this donor donated? That's a very difficult thing to manage unless you have a donor management system. But yeah, that's really one. All of you guys, I would toggle that on. The next one is collecting phone number. So this is an optional field. Again, not a lot of people know that it's there, but just another piece of information. It's optional, so they don't have to fill it in. It's not going to stop them from completing a transaction. But if you want to be able to call your donors and do donor appreciation calls, you obviously need a phone number. So it doesn't harm you. Something again that I would toggle on. Okay, cool. Now this is the fun stuff. Laura talked about this a little bit. It's something that I'm super passionate about as well. So last couple key additional data points to collect. And I think just like before diving into this, so by default you get that first name, last name, email, and address. These are, again, by using the form name, using the funds, using all these custom questions, this is how we can get a full data picture that can really drive our fundraising forward. I mean, if we're using one donation form with a few funds, we're not collecting all this information, we don't get a clear picture. All of this helps us to get a clear picture, all this thing we're talking about today. And I would say a really, really awesome one, and one given everything going on right now, if you have the time, I think this is a place where everyone should invest. It's in analytics, specifically here with Google Analytics or Google Tag Manager. So I think just given everything, website, more important than ever. Obviously, a lot of our events and in-person fundraising are gone. I know everyone is slammed, but I think in terms of trying to figure out, okay, we used to be an event-heavy organization. What are some of the things that we can be doing now during this downtime? Focus on this. Focus on your website. Focus on your online donation process. And something like Google Analytics, it's a free resource that you can get started right away. So a couple of things that you can track here. So, and Laura spoke to a few of them already, but how are people arriving at my website? So I can see, do people come through social media, email, direct? So are they entering my website directly? Are they Googling? If so, what are they searching to arrive? I think that's a really cool one. Laura touched on it, but then you'll know what are the mindset that people are in that are coming to visit your website. What are they actually looking for to come to your website? From them, then you might get some insights that you didn't even think about your organization in a certain way. Like to think about CanadaHelps, for instance, a ton of people use us as a charity registry. And it's something that for us that we're in the middle of our organization, and we're always thinking about donations and fundraising. We don't necessarily think about this, but when you dig into these analytics, you can find things like that. And then if someone is using your service in such a way, using your website in such a way, you can cater your messaging, maybe even cater your program and your service where there is this need, and also cater to drive donations with that group. But a lot of really cool stuff in there. So who are the people visiting my website? So the demographics and the device. We get over now 60% of our traffic is coming through a mobile device. That means we have to invest heavy in mobile, and I guarantee it's the same for you, or at least close. And then what about my donation pages? So how many visitors? What is the conversion rate? Who is converting the highest? What types of people? And then there's also Google Tag Manager. Just as a heads up, if you're using these things, it's going to be one or the other. So if you choose after this webinar, and I hope you all choose to get started with Google Analytics, you're not going to be inputting both account numbers into here. It's going to be one or the other. Google Tag Manager, long story short, it's a tool that you can install all of your analytics trackers. So if you're using Facebook, it says Pixtel. It's actually Pixel, so your Facebook Pixel. If you're paying for Google Ads, you can track all of those things within your Google Tag Manager. So that's a really good way to track your ad spending on other platforms as well. But really, it's as easy as going into your CanadaHelps account and entering your Google Analytics account number for Google Analytics. For Google Tag Manager, there's a little bit more there. Yeah, we can go to the next one now, Lo. Sorry, I'm excited. And then so with this one, so for either, so Google Analytics and Google Tag Manager is a little more complicated, but we have a guide. So now is the time. Your online presence has never been more important. This is only going to grow. Google Analytics is free. There's no cost to this. There's an easy setup. We have a guide to walk you through how to set up both. You could download this for free. It's really comprehensive and makes it really straightforward. Nothing stopping you from going and do this. And on the next slide here, along with providing a guide, we actually have a pre-configured Google Analytics dashboard. So you can install this with one click. Again, this download button will help you do that. But just with one click, you're able to get a dashboard of pre-configured reports. So including these, so you don't have to do any setup. Right out of the gate, you're going to have what's the total dollar and number of your donations, what are the conversion rates for your whole site and by page, what sources do your donations come through, the donations by device, and a ton more. So get started today. Really easy way to do it, and reach out to the team if you need any support here as well. How you doing, Laura?
I'm good. Just remembering to unmute myself every time. Amazing, Jacob. Thank you so much for that. It's awesome to see kind of how everyone can get set up. And I think sort of leading on from there, we're now going to dive in. So we know what data is, we know why we want to collect it, and we know how to get set up to collect it. How now are we actually extracting that from the CanadaHelps account? So that's what we're going to sort of jump into now. And we always find that the best way to do this is actually to dive into the CanadaHelps account. Let's go. So we have logged in. I mean, I'm sure this may kick me out now. Let me take a look. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, it didn't. Yes. So this is basically the CanadaHelps dashboard. So just really quickly for anyone that maybe isn't registered with CanadaHelps, doesn't have an account, as soon as you register for CanadaHelps, it's free to do. You'll then get access to what we call the kind of charity dashboard. So you'll log in to your charity account, and this is what you'll see. And basically this is where everything to do with CanadaHelps is held. So all of the tools that we provide are in here. A way to update your profile page on CanadaHelps.org is in here. But also all of that data is in here. So just really quickly before we actually dive into pulling the data out, I just wanted to point very quickly to sort of where Jacob was just kind of talking about. So he was talking about those donation forms and getting them set up in the right way. So if you are looking to get those forms set up, you'll go into this aptly called Donation Forms tab. And this is where you would basically come to create a new form or maybe edit any of those ongoing forms that you have sort of up and running. And all of those sort of things that Jacob was speaking to there, when you go into one of these forms, create a new form, this is sort of the template you'll be working off. It is a really easy kind of walkthrough of those different things you want to pop in to create this form. For example, form name, you'll see there as Jacob kind of walked through. All of those pieces of information and those key kind of data points that Jacob ran through on those slides, you'll find all within here. So as Jacob said, we're going to send you those slides so you'll have all of those points, but I just wanted to point out really quickly where you were going to kind of get those forms set up and get started. So just simply click into this donation forms tab and off you go. And the thing I always like to say here as well, sometimes people get scared to kind of go in if they've not created a new form before. You can definitely jump in and have a complete play around in here until you very actively take the form that you've designed and either copy the embed code or copy the URL code and put it onto your website or share it through those communication channels. This form isn't going to be stumbled across. So please feel free to jump in and have a play around. There's no harm in doing that, and you'll find that it's super easy to kind of get to grips with this. So yeah, just so you kind of know where that's living as we are in here anyway. So then moving on from here, we're now going to talk about sort of extracting this data. So as Jacob had mentioned, every single kind of donation that is processed through CanadaHelps, no matter what tool, you have access to all of this donor information in here. So this donation reports, when it comes to data, this will be your best friend. It's where everything sort of lives in here. So I just wanted to kind of walk through a couple of different things you can do in this section. Often a lot of charities that I speak to know that this sort of exists, but kind of only interact maybe on a pretty surface level with what's in here. So I just want to show you some more in detail things that you can kind of pull out from here. So this first page that you land on, this donation reports, it gives you a really kind of high level snapshot of what's going on here. So just towards the bottom here, you can kind of see very quickly who's given to you, how much is given, just a kind of snapshot of that most recent kind of donor behavior. But other things that you can pull from here are also disbursement reports. So these will be really handy for your accounting team or finance team. These will basically give you a sort of PDF document that will show you all of those donations that are going to be dispersed into your bank. So it will line up with exactly what kind of lands into your bank each week. So something that's really useful to, if you want to reconcile there and kind of see what you can be expecting each week on your donations. So really useful to take a look there. But then diving into that data and getting a little bit more detailed. So as I said, this is a great kind of snapshot. You can see really quickly what's going on. But then if you click into this little section here, data download, this will actually allow you to extract a big Excel spreadsheet that has all of the information that is collected on donors when they give to you. So you've got all those forms set up, you've got all the right customizations on there, and now you kind of want to see, okay, who's interacted with these forms? What's kind of going on with these donors here? So what this allows you to do is basically pop in sort of some dates here, any sort of time period that you want to take a look at. 1st of January, that feels like a very, very long time ago. But pop in the kind of dates here, click download, and you will then basically be given an Excel spreadsheet which will look very similar to this. Now hopefully yours will have a couple of more donors on here, but I just wanted to show you an example of what this kind of looked like. Obviously me and Jacob have been very generous this year giving to the charities, but when you click download, this is kind of the spreadsheet you will get here. So we call this our full data download, and what you will kind of come to see is that it's basically a really big spreadsheet that has loads of information on donors. There's lots of kind of different fields in here, you know, all of the name, all of the address information, all of the contact information, which fund they've given to, how much they've given, all of that different kind of information there you can see. But I just always think if you haven't maybe pulled one of these from your CanadaHelps account before, it's really worth doing that first time just to kind of see what information you have in there. And then what it can allow you to do is sort of build custom reports. So you'll see this has a lot of kind of different fields on here, but then we also give you the ability to kind of custom one of these reports and dive down into a little bit more detail. But if you've not done this, I would say jump into your CanadaHelps account, look at the past, you know, month, maybe 12 months, and just see what information you've got in there, because there might be a lot that you maybe didn't realize you sort of have access to. So definitely worth taking a look at. Then once you've kind of looked at that and you think, okay, this is all really useful stuff, but I've decided I want to look at a certain segment of donors, or I want to kind of take a look at a certain campaign that I've run, and I only want to see maybe a couple of those different fields. We kind of allow you to build those custom reports under this custom data download. And this is such a cool feature, and often when I speak to charities, so many people don't realize it's there, and I'm like, please dive into this. It's so useful, especially when it comes to extracting all that data that we've talked about. It allows you to really custom build those reports. So just to kind of show you what this looks like, you jump into this section and you would click this create new report here. Now I'm actually going to show you a report that I did set up in advance. This is our test account, so we have lots of random reports in here, but here's mine, Laura's super cool report. So when you click that kind of create new report button, you will be taken to a page that looks like this. So what this allows you to do is all of these columns and fields that you saw on that kind of big data download there, you have the option here of what you then want to kind of choose and save on this custom report. So I've already got that kind of first name on there, I've already got that last name, the city, the amount, but maybe there's a couple of other things that I want to kind of dive into here, really speaking back to what Jacob has sort of mentioned in terms of customizing those forms. So maybe you asked a kind of question on your form and you want to find out what the answer was to that. Maybe you want to know which form the dollars came through for these donors that you're looking at. So again, you can just kind of drag that over here. Maybe you want to see the mailing list opt-in. So maybe you've popped that on there. Now I just have to find this in here. There's so many different columns. And you can drag the mailing list across as well. Is this right at the top, mailing preference? There we go. And we also have phone number as well. As we mentioned, we can pop that across there. You can pop across any columns that you need. Another really cool thing that you can do here is you can actually rename these columns. So maybe you don't want to kind of call this what we sort of call it at CanadaHelps, you want to rename this, which can be really useful just for personal preference, but even more useful if you then are taking this information and importing it into a donor management system that maybe has slightly different columns. So you'll see, for example, this donor first name, I can just simply change that to first name. Same thing that I can do with last name. So you really have the ability here to customize a report that's useful for you, and if it needs to be imported into a donor management system, it can be done really quickly. Any changes you make here, any names you make, you click save, and this will then continue to live in your account for whenever you need this. So again, same concept. You'd basically just choose the date period you want to kind of take a look at, and you'll click generate sort of next to any of those reports that you've created. And just to kind of show you what that would look like, here's an example of kind of pulling this across. So you'll see this is a custom data download that I sort of created. You'll see it's got slightly less fields than that last kind of Excel that we looked at, but just to show you that you really can customize these, and then you've got them there at a click of a button. So it means, you've set up this awesome campaign, it's running through a certain form, you want to really quickly kind of see, okay, where have these dollars and where have these donors interacted with? You can do that really easily here. One thing that may also come in useful here, which is more a sort of an Excel thing, but I always like to point it out because some people maybe haven't used this before. With Excel, you can filter any of these columns. So say, for example, you've pulled this report and you've got a host of kind of donors in here, and maybe you want to see, okay, so what was the answer to that custom question? You can use this filter, just kind of click on here, click filter, and it adds a filter to each one of these fields, and you can then sort of filter down and look at those different kind of groups here. So maybe a good one to kind of look at here is that page title. So this is actually that form name. So maybe you just want to look at the people that gave through the holiday campaign form. So there you go. Then it will filter down and you can see people that have given through that particular form, given to that particular kind of campaign. Will just, again, help you to kind of see where you're up to and then guide sort of your future decisions. So a whole host of sort of different things that you can do in there in terms of extracting data. One last thing I want to speak to just before I pass it back over to Jacob is also within this section, you will see this button which is called Add a CRM Report. Now, Jacob's going to speak a little bit more to donor management systems and kind of why you'd need those. But if you are using a donor management system or a client relationship manager, as they are sometimes called as well, we do have some of the most common systems that we see charities using. We have pre-created reports within the back of CanadaHelps here. So what this will do is just add a custom report that has all the fields that are relevant for some of these most popular systems. So Silent Partner, Donor Perfect, Sumac and Salesforce. So again, it's just speeding up that process. What it will mean is when you add one of these into your CanadaHelps account, you can then download a report that with one click can be imported into your donor management system. So it's just about really increasing the efficiency in how you're kind of utilizing this data and making sure you can make the most of it. And one thing to shout out as well is we have a Salesforce connector, and we've just done an amazing update to it, and it's coming very, very soon. For anyone that is using Salesforce, this connector can be absolutely fantastic. It will basically give you almost like a charity custom Salesforce. So a lot of the fields that we find charities are needing most within their donor management system, it will basically allow you to kind of add that straight in and just make that whole process of using Salesforce and making that kind of donor data work for you a lot easier to kind of interact with. So a lot in there. So Jacob, back over to you. It's a nice segue into donor management systems.
Here we go. Yeah, here we go. I think you might need to mute yourself again.
For sure, no problem. One thing before you shut me up again, Jacob, is I just wanted to let everyone know that all of those things that I just kind of touched on, we have actually included in the slides that we'll send out. So you should, anything that we've run through, you'll see all of those things there, what's important to kind of take a look at. So don't worry, you've got that.
Awesome. Thanks, Laura. Okay, guys. So from here, I think although I appreciate the Excel wizardry, from having to do that myself, I understand that that can be a frustrating task, especially when I'm trying to collate data from a number of years, a number of different campaigns. It could be difficult. Excel is not a donor management system. It's not a CRM. So I think a really big question is for all of us is when is it time, or is it time for a donor management system? So let's talk about that quickly. But first, we go to the next one. What is a donor management system? So just to level set really quick. So let's talk about it. So one more. So, okay, so a donor management system. So real quick, I want to get to your guys' questions. It's a system in which you store all of your donor data that's online and offline. So this is your donor information. So again, that address, demographic, all that stuff we're talking about. The donation information, so the donation information, so the giving history, how did they give, the total number and dollar amount of gifts, communication preferences and communication history, so all of our history of emails, calls, and meetings. Campaign data, so this would have, without having to do a crazy Excel filtering exercise over a bunch of different sheets, with all of my offline and online in one place, I can see for all of my campaigns a high-level look at how much was raised, did we reach our goals, which campaigns are the most effective, and who gave to each. And then your opportunities. So for your major gifts, who are you soliciting there, and for grants as well. So this gives you the ability to track grants and applications that are coming up. So storing all of this, really what it allows you to do is to know your donors, improve your stewardship, retain your donors, be more efficient, and plan for the future. And really quick, I'm just going to dive into a little bit into each of these things. And just so everyone knows, we're here all together. It's not a one-on-one. Everyone's going to have a lot of different questions around this. We're going to leave a link in here for you can connect to talk data and donor management with our team at any time. But stick in here for a sec. So just in terms of knowing your donors, just going to do one quick example. So we launched a donor management system recently. One of our first partners in that, they found out that they had a donor giving to them $1,000 every December for, I think it was 6 or 7 years. And they had never known that before, because anytime a donor came in, they would treat them the same. Maybe an automatic message would go out through CanadaHelps. They would send a thank you in the mail, but it was kind of one at a time. They saw this and they saw, holy crap, we did not know how valuable this person was to us. We were treating them like everyone else, and it allowed them to improve their stewardship. Really talk to that donor in a way that they merited, and that increases the retention ratio, which I'd love to talk about a little bit more, but I think this is one of the most important things you can do. It's a great thing to acquire new donors, but to retain the ones you already have is huge. It's huge. To get that initial donor is a big thing. You need to retain them. To be more efficient, so instead of downloading these Excel spreadsheets, collating 8 different sheets, it's all in one place. It's going to save a ton of time, and that's the same with tax receipting, emailing, thank yous. All of this can be done in an automated fashion. And when we say plan for the future, I think a lot of us are in a position where at our organization, there's a bunch of knowledge around donors and donations that are in the heads of a particular person. If that person would walk out the door, a lot of institutional knowledge is going to leave the organization. This allows you to plan for the future and keep that data at the organization. And also, I would say securely. I think a bunch of us have these spreadsheets that are saved in all these different places that are not quite secure. If you choose a secure system, you know that the data is going to be housed in one place. It's going to set you up for the future of the organization. So this is going to be left behind, guys. We launched a donor management system because we really believe in the power of data, and we wanted to build something that's integrated with the CanadaHelps solution and really makes it so it's powerful but really, really easy to use. If you're using CanadaHelps fundraising tools already, all of those same principles are going to be in this donor management system. But if we go to the next slide, just to say, without digging into that too much, if you want to talk data and donor management, don't hesitate to get in touch with our team. When you get those slides, that's going to be a link directly to book a consultation. You can talk to us at any time. It's our mission to help you out. And then from there, I want to dive into the questions right away. I know it's 1:58. We didn't leave a lot of time. I'm happy to stay over time a little bit here. So if others are as well, we'd love to stick around for as long as you need it. I'm going to start right away, Laura. I'm going to pull one up. I'm going to pull one of these questions up. I'll do one, and then Laura, I'll mute myself, and then you can take the floor after that. Does that sound good? Okay, so first question that we have here is from United Way, Southern Interior, BC. This is one that came in actually before the webinar from Morgan. And the question is, what donor data is most important and why? So we talked about, thanks for the question. So we talked about a bunch of different types of donor data. So what I would say, and I mentioned briefly donor retention, I think in the end, it all comes down to 2 key things. This is my opinion, and that's the donor lifetime value and the retention rate. If I was going to watch any 2 key stats, number 1 is donor lifetime value. So what is donor lifetime value? This shows us, on average, the value of a donor to us over their lifetime. So how you would find this is basically, on average, your donors give, they donate to you for 5 years before they no longer give to you anymore. So that's the lifetime they have with you. And then on average, over that lifetime, how much do they give to you? I think in the end, if you have that value, if I know that a given donor is worth $800, that just puts a lot of things in perspective in terms of how much I'm able to invest to acquire a particular donor in each of my campaigns. And this is something that you can track. So for what's the lifetime value of your monthly donors? What's the lifetime value of donors that come through your year-end campaigns? So then you can focus on activities that are driving up that lifetime value. And the retention rate in there, the average retention rate here in Canada is about 55% as of the latest AFP surveys. Driving up that retention, again, it's super hard to acquire a new donor. Once you have them, you need to keep them, and driving up your retention rate is going to keep that lifetime value very high. I'll pass it off to Laura.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jacob. So we've got another question here that asks, are those 4 CRMs the only ones you have connected reports for? So that kind of pop-up that I showed with those 4 reports on there, they're the ones that we have those kind of pre-created reports for. But even if you're using a different CRM, we can normally help out with that as well. With that ability to create a custom report and rename those fields. Often all you really need to do to make sure it's a download and then an import into any CRM is to make sure the fields in CanadaHelps match those of your CRM. So it's something you can do yourself by kind of creating a custom report and renaming the fields, but again, something we're always happy to help with, so make sure you can kind of reach out to us. We can always help out with that as well. Back to you, Jacob. And I'm sorry if my audio is not great. I'm getting messages, angry messages from GoToWebinar.
Okay, so my turn here. So I'll take this one from Lori. Thanks for the question. So is the Google Analytics download for our website or for a page on CanadaHelps? Great question. So Google Analytics is something that you would implement on your website as a whole. So it's something that you're going to set up on your website. And again, it's free to do and it's really easy. The download that we're offering, so first of all, so you're going to set it up on your website. And then once you get your Google Analytics account number, you can input that into your donation form to start the tracking. The download that we're providing, so that provides you, so there's two downloads. One is a guide on how to set it up. The second is a dashboard. The dashboard that we provide is all about donation data. So it's all talking about your CanadaHelps forms, donations that are coming through, conversion rates, visitors, all donation centered. Within Google Analytics though, and I think even Laura was talking, she was into that recently. With Google Analytics, there's a bunch of preset stuff there. It's really easy to find your website-specific metrics without having to do a whole lot of customization. Pass it back to you, Lo.
Awesome. Thanks, Jay. Another question here, which is a very important one. Yeah. So if a big chunk of donations are coming from a mobile phone, should we keep our donation form brief? Because it's different than working off a desktop. So that's a really good question, and it's probably something we maybe forgot to mention, Jacob, but something that's really important here. So as we said, loads of traffic is coming through mobile phones now. So yeah, you probably will notice that a big chunk of your donations are also coming that way. So the thing that's key here is to make sure that that donation option is mobile optimized. So what we mean by that is when someone is accessing your donation form, they're not having to kind of scroll around and move their screen around and zoom in and zoom out. It kind of resizes to fit whatever device they're on. With all of the CanadaHelps donation forms, they are all mobile optimized, so you do not need to worry about that. So just make sure you've kind of got that form. If your website isn't mobile optimized, link that form and you can be safe that the form will be optimized. If your website is mobile optimized, then you can embed the form directly, and again, safe in the knowledge that they'll be able to access that no matter how they are kind of coming to that form. But really good question. And something we love mentioning, but we forgot to mention this time, Jay. What's going on?
I guess so. Okay, I'm going to take one more question, and then we'll call it. So this was a good question. So where I lost it here now. Okay, hold on. Okay, maybe we're done, eh? Maybe we're done for the day. 2:05. What do you say? We call it? I'm searching through a bunch of questions.
You can't find it. But I've seen a really good question in here as well,
okay,
which is
take it.
Come on, Jacob, get it together. A really good question, which is just how do I connect with a CH staff member to kind of guide you through everything that we can offer? So all of the slides that will come out to you will have many different links that you can either book a demo with us, but it'll also have our email addresses on there. We absolutely love hearing from you, so please just reach out directly to us and we can always help you out. So I think an important one to wrap up with.
Sounds good. I found it though, and I want to address it. If you could mute
it's
for
the
a sec,
problem with Jacob. We can't. Yeah, we can never.
Okay, so it's from Karen. If we have an old fund name not being used anymore, can it be deleted, and will that affect pulling reports on older donations? It can be deleted. This is a great question. I wanted to address it. You can delete old funds. On your historical donation, the fund name will still be there. So you don't have to worry about it negatively affecting old donations. What you cannot do is change, if you're not using a fund name anymore, do not rename it to a different type of fund because that will change historically. So if I have fund name A and I change that to fund name B, all of the historical donations will now read fund name B. So yes, the best way to deal with that is to delete the fund. So if we want to pull up the slides, but guys, again, please reach out to us. It's our job. We have a team of people that is happy to help you out and talk about all these things. You can go to our website, CanadaHelps.org, go to the For Charities section. You'd be able to request a demo, book a consultation with any of us. It doesn't have to be about our tools. It can be just about online giving in general. We are here to help. Thank you so much. Sorry we went a little bit over. We just get a little bit excited, okay?
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.